Francisco now.
Well, now I'm from San Francisco. I'm Bryna Rifkind. I'm the daughter of Sid Rifkind and Ruth Rifkind. My father started, when the camp started, as a director of the waterfront. He was a waterfront instructor. And then he became, after many years, he became a director and then eventually the owner. And he was the owner when the camp was sold in the 60s.
Okay, let's start with, how do you spell your first name?
Oh, Bryna.
That's what I thought. Now, the camp's name is sort of like a Gitchiguni kind of name.
It's a, it's pronounced Chi-Wan-Da. And it's an Indian name,
Does it mean anything?
Not to my knowledge. I think it was just an Indian name. A lot of camps in the area had Indian names.
Right. My sister went to a camp up in Shokan. I think it was called, I don't remember the name of it. It was something with a T.
There was
but it
so
was an
many.
Indian-sounding name.
Yeah, they all were in those days.
And how long was the camp open before your dad?
It started about, he's in 38. All of the people who were running the camp and were directors all were in education. They deal with kids during the year. It was very natural to deal with kids in the summer. So my father was a science teacher, and he was he did the safety, the junior and senior life saving. So he was in charge of the waterfront on Lake Esopus.
What, Lake Esopus meaning this part of the Hudson River? What kind of a camp was it? Was it like a religious camp? Was it a regular...
Well, no, there are a lot of, most of the kids were Jewish, and the directors and owners were Jewish, but we had other people. In fact, my father, if any of the counselors wanted to go to services on Sunday, my father would drive them into town. But basically, it was just a regular, athletics was the most important thing. And so kids got to be, especially kids from the city, they got to smell the fresh air. They got to work in groups, and that was so important. The group interaction with kids was just, and I became a teacher also, and I always take kids camping. And kids in the classroom are different than when they're outside, and for some reason, most kids excel when they're outside, and it's just a really nice thing to see.
Okay, so a lot of the campers who were coming up from New York City.
New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Very few from Massachusetts, but yeah. And all the counselors were teacher trainers. They were going to be teachers. And my father used to say, look, if you can live with them for 8 weeks, 24 hours a day, teaching a piece of cake, he was right.
All right, I went to a camp like this in Kent, Connecticut, so it wasn't really like, it was basically a bunch of Jewish kids, but it was mostly recreational program.
Yeah.
Maybe once a week on a Friday night they'd do like a 5-minute service or something, right?
Oh yeah, when we did Friday night, we did a full service because my father used to run the services. So they did a full service. It was, full service, 15 minutes, And my mother used to light the candles on Friday night at dinner, but
okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
So this went on for about 40 years?
Yeah, until 1963.
And what happened then?
And the camp was sold, and somebody had asked me why he sold it, and I don't know why he sold it, but I know it was a year-round work issue. My mother and my grandmother and I would be sitting there stuffing and folding papers and mailing out things to people. And my father and my mother both had full-time jobs too. So I think it just got maybe overwhelming. But he went from, after selling Camp Chi-Wan-Da, he went to another camp, and half the camp also went to the other camp. So he still remained in camp until the 1980s.
Where was the other camp?
Camp Chi-Wan-Da in Honesdale, Pennsylvania. And he knew the directors, because it was a big private camping association, and so so he knew a lot of people, and Camp Chi-Wan-Da belonged to the association.
That must have been a big score for Camp
Chi-Wan-Da. And they knew my father, and
to get an owner to come over to a new organization.
And for instance, almost all my friends all became, we all went to, And we all went to the new camp.
Did he invest in the new camp as well?
No, not at all. No,
Okay.
no, because it was work, so he did a lot of work, but he didn't invest in it at all. You know, my mother worked in the office, and my father did many different things. So,
What memory stands out the most of your time, all the years you spent here in this camp?
I think one of my favorite things were the shows we used to do. Every year we had a very involved drama program, and music and dance. That was, an interest of mine, and I loved it. And so that part. Also campouts. We had lots of campouts. My father used to take the kids up to Lake George. It was really lovely. Actually, this is not the Lake Esopus. There was another. This is part of the Hudson, but there's the lake that my father was waterfront instructors, not on the Hudson. It's a separate enclosed lake, and it's up there. You have to go on.
So that's where the kids would swim.
That's where the kids would swim, not here. That's where their kids would swim.
Now, back then, was the river very polluted?
I don't know. We did very little stuff down here by the lake. We did very little stuff by the Hudson River.
Was there a view back then?
Oh yeah, and I have pictures. The view was really always spectacular.
Did you ever take the kids out on boats?
Not here. The boats were all on Lake Esopus. That's where we learned how to do boating, and canoeing and rafting and all of those water sports. And then we would go other places. We would never do them on the Hudson.
What was the maritime traffic like back then? Is it similar?
I have no idea. We had nothing to do with that part of it.
Well, you saw that big cargo barge just go by. Did that happen very often?
I never saw that. We never really noticed that. We were so involved with doing things with other kids, but the river part wasn't a major part, because you realize how far you have to walk to come down to here. So, it was almost a mile walk to go to Lake Esopus. In fact, we had a bus that my mother drove. Everybody would get on the bus, and we'd take the bus ride down to the lake.
Is that lake part of this?
Oh yeah,
park?
I think yes, I believe it is. I haven't walked up there, so I would like to. That was one thing I would love to see.
How old were you when the camp closed?
I was 14.
Okay, so you weren't really.
I was more interested in boys.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you. That's around the time that Indian Point opened up.
Indian Point.
The nuclear power plant down.
Yeah.
Putnam County.
No, that's we.
And now it's having problems with leaking into the Hudson.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
People want to close because it's dangerous.
Well, my father, it's interesting. My father, believes very. That's why. It's very touching that this has become a nature reserve, because my father was, in those days. He was a naturalist. Science and the outdoors was very, very important. And he believed that for kids, that's one of the reasons why he did camp. It was part of his philosophy of education, that kids should be outside, be able to enjoy it. So.
Okay. What's next? You plan on ever coming back here?
I don't know. I sent all my friends who were still in touch. And some of us was 8 years old. And people were busy. So they said, take lots of pictures and bring it back. And I'd like to come back. I'd like to be able to really explore up there and see what's there. The two gentlemen who live locally said there's nothing left except that wonderful white marker that says you could barely see Chi-Wan-Da. But they took a picture and sent it to me. When they contacted me, I guess it was 2 years ago, when they started doing all of this, and I was able to provide them with everything.
Where's that out on this river road here?
It's right as you came in. There were these two white stanchions in brick, and you could barely see Chi-Wan-Da. I have to get somebody to take a picture of me next to that. So.
Yeah, I don't think going. What do you say, 63? I don't think there's too many people up here now who remember that.
No. Yeah. No. All the campers know, because they would take, there were buses that left from New York, and also the ferry would come to take kids also. And so they all see that, and as soon as they would drive through those gates, they would start singing the camp songs.
Is there like a Facebook group or any kind of internet website that?
You know what? I don't know. I've been doing caretaking for my parents and friends, so.
They're still alive?
My mother just passed away not quite a year ago, almost 98, and Dad passed away at 96. They played tennis till they were 85 and 87. They put us to shame.
I should be so lucky, right?
Yes. But, yeah, so I was doing caretaking, and as a result, I really didn't have time to go into any social media. But friends of mine might, and so I want to send pictures and stuff to put there to see if we can get in touch with more people to tell them about this. I mean, it's pretty special.
Okay, thanks. That's a great little thing.